by the end of this video, you'll know how to create YouTube thumbnails just like this one in Canva and be able to create them in a matter of minutes. And at the end of the video, I'm going to talk about how you can create YouTube thumbnails that people are going to click on. But what we're going to focus on first is how to create this type of thumbnail simply in Canva. And you're going to learn things like how to cut out images like this one, how to add arrows, how to add these fonts and images, and also how to use your brand and the colors effortlessly on Canva. So the first thing we need to do is just go create new design and create YouTube thumbnail. And then what you're going to find is that you're going to get all of these templates here that could be your starting point. Now, the issue with some of these templates is that they might look good in terms of the design, but they might not be the most clickable. Now, again, later we'll talk about how to know what is working, but what we can do is use one of these as our starting point. So let's say we're going to use this one as our starting point. The first thing I like to do is if you just click on anything, click position, this is going to show you the layers if you click layers over here. Now, if you're new to layers, just think of these as anything at the bottom is in the background, and then anything at the top is in the foreground. If I move this white box above modern, then the modern disappears because the white box is on the top of modern. So that needs to go to the bottom in order for that to show. A good starting point is the background. Now, this background looks like it is an image. And when it's an image, sometimes you can change the color of the image, but for most times you can't. So you'll need some type of different background that's going to suit your design. So the first way to start is to go to your brand colors. And this is something you can add the brand if you have a pro account and simply click one of the colors. You can also, depending on the template, you can also sometimes shuffle this so that you can see what different colors look like. Now, we also can do something like a gradient color. So if we click add new color, go to gradient, then you can have two colors in here like this, and you can change the style. So there's different kind of gradient styles where you can see one color dominates in the middle, this one is to the right, this one to the left. So now that we have our background, we're just going to use that as a gradient. We can also see that there are different things on here too. Now, I'm not a big fan of these, so we can just simply delete them. But some of them sometimes work depending on what you're trying to do. Now, a classic thumbnail, which still works, is to have a person and then text here as well. But also, sometimes you want to bring in something that really summarizes what the video is about. So let's say we are creating a guitar tutorial for beginners on YouTube, and we can do things like have our face on here, but we also want to get across that it's a guitar tutorial. So if you have images of yourself playing the guitar, that's fantastic. I'm going to find an image of someone playing the guitar, and let's just say this is you. Okay, so now we've added this to the image, and we're going to make this bigger. I like to make it bigger. And what I'm seeing here is this person is looking over to the left, which is good to then have the text here. Now, we can keep that background if we wanted to and expand it. In fact, I'm going to show you a little trick here. If you go to edit and then you go to magic expand, it might be a bit tricky because of this bit here, but I'm going to just try it and go whole page and expand. And as you can see, nearly did it. I don't know what this is here, but that's what it tried to do here. Now, these kind of expansion tools are getting better, but they don't always work. I'm going to press cancel, and instead, I'm going to use background remover. Now, how quick was that? I just simply did a background remover. Now, one thing I'm noticing with this is a little bit of a clash. Not just the person, which I'll delete him now, but the colors are very uniform, where we have the guy in the denim shirt and then the background is very similar. Now, this sometimes works, but what we can do instead is go back to the layer, go back to the color, and do that first, and then we're going to go gradient and see what other color it gives us. And I'm going to just go with that for now. So let's just say this is your brand color. It's very bright. And let's just say this is what we're going to go with. So the next thing to do is to think about what kind of text you want to use and also the fonts. So if we go back to position, firstly, let's just say we're happy with this. We can select all, simply just select all the different ones using Command on a Mac. And if we go Control G, it's going to group them together. And we didn't take the white box with us, but we can move this around anywhere we want it. Okay. So I'm going to just say Control Z and undo. What things we can do with this is to then ungroup it and then see what the fonts are. They're all Bebas New. And we can change the font by clicking this and simply go into something else. So let's just try Laura. It's okay. I quite like Now and Anton. Anton is a very popular one. And if you go to popular fonts, I've used Montserrat a lot in the past and League Spartan. Let's just try this one for something different, okay? What we want to do now is choose the text we want to have on our image to get people's attention, to sum up the video and to also invoke some curiosity or to make a bold statement. So what I've done is I've just added some text here. Beginners, you must do this. Now, there's something missing here that is going to make such a big difference to the click-through rate. And it's something that it's important to think about, and it's simply an arrow. So having some type of arrow just brings it all together. And what I like to do is go red arrow, although this is going to clash. So I'm just going to put arrow and see the ones that we can actually change the color of. And we're going to use this one, and let's just position it. This is the key part to where it's actually showing something. So let's change the color. We won't spend too much time on the color, but we'll just try and get something a little bit different here. Let's try this one. And then I also like to go to Edit, Shadows, Outline. And in this case, let's make the outline black just for now. We might change that later. And then with the text, what we're going to do as well, a couple of things. We're going to have the line spacing a little less so it fits together. And then we are going to also go to Effects and go Lift. It just brings it out a little bit. It has a little bit of a shadow effect with the lift one. And I prefer that over things like drop shadow. Now I want this to stand out a little bit more. So I'm going to change the text color of this and see what it looks like. It might not work with this style. It doesn't work at all. So let's just find a new color, maybe the same as the arrow. Okay, now this is really standing out. I don't like the colors. Ignore the colors for now. You can just change it based on your brand. But the key here is that what we're doing is we're creating a thumbnail that is going to get people's attention. It's going to make people either curious or it's going to tell them something that they need to do. In this case, you must do this, but it invokes that curiosity because you have this question like, what is it? What is he doing with his hand here? Now, I'm just going to do a couple more things to show you what Canva can also do. Because I like to, with the image, edit, and again, we're going to go to shadows under effects. For this one, I like to do a drop shadow. And I like the ones that they introduce here as well. So I'm just going to bring this down. And then also with the image, I like to go to adjust. And then depending, but just usually bring the brightness up and also bring the contrast up. Not always, but most of the time I like to do it. You can also make it more vibrant, more saturation as well to really just pop those colors. And there's one more thing that I like to do with this just to make it stand out a bit more. And it is to add a gradient, if I can spell that correctly, something like this, where it's going to make the text stand out a bit more once you set it up. So you can see I've flipped it, moved it over here. I'm going to expand it out a lot and go to position. And then this is the layer. At the moment, it's above the text. Watch what happens when we bring it down below everything. Now, that makes such a difference to how the text stands out. I'm going to just toggle this. If I go back to position, I'm just going to delete it. Look at the difference. And then undo, delete, undo. massive difference there for how your thumbnail is going to stand out. Now, before I mentioned how you can know if a YouTube thumbnail is working, and it depends on the size of the channel, but a lot of the time you can do a test. Now, I'm not going to go into depth here, but this is going to tell you the watch time on YouTube for each thumbnail. And it does watch time because it doesn't just want people to click without watching the video. Instead, it wants to tell you which thumbnail leads to the highest retention and the overall watch time, which is what YouTube cares about the most. Now, check the description for some extra tips on this and a summary of the video, and also to learn which tools I use to make videos for YouTube. So thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.